Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Jamar back from Vegas Sense, and in this video I'm going to be going over my top 10 list of top 10 favorite cologne fragrances that I picked up this year. Alright, so definitely stick around for the rest of the video, and do me a favor, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and also leave a like and a comment on the video. Alright, so just to get straight into the video, man, like I said, this is going to be my top 10 or my top 10 favorite pickups for this year in terms of fragrance clones. I tried to keep this list to mainly just fragrances that were released this year. Now, some of these I'm not 100% sure of whether or not they were released like in 2022 or this year. They may have been released, earlier in other parts of the world, but I'm mainly kind of focused on fragrances that were for the most part released here in the United States this year. All right, so if you see any fragrances on this list that were, released last year or, possibly even before that, then, I'm just not aware that they were released that long ago. All right, so just to get started with the list, the first fragrance that I have on this list is going to be from F.A. Paris Fragrance World. I absolutely love that particular line from Fragrance World. This is going to be their take on Gris Charnel EDP, and this is Francique 63.55. So really happy with the way that this particular fragrance smells. Like I've mentioned before in previous videos, I think that this is really a great sort of, it's an everyday sort of all-purpose type of scent, but at least from me, in my opinion, I think that this is kind of best suited for like the spring and fall times, maybe even like cooler summer nights, and more so kind of like in date night situations. I think that's when this one would really shine the most. But at the same time, I do think that, this particular fragrance could shine, throughout the day in other situations as well. But pretty much, I mean, what you get with this one is a really nice sort of cardamom tea. You get, I would say, some slight sort of spiciness to the fragrance as well. But this one is going to be completely unisex. Absolutely love this one. Again, it's Francique 63.55. All right, so the next fragrance up, this is going to be from the Woods collection, and this is their take on Parfums de Marly's Layton, and this is Dusk. All right, so Dusk, I just did a video on this, actually yesterday I released it, or it might have been 2 days ago. This particular fragrance, in my opinion, it is a very good clone of Parfums de Marly's Layton. It's not 100%, I would say this is about 90% or so, to Parfums de Marly's Layton. The main thing though that I think is a good selling point with this particular fragrance is this particular fragrance, it has very good performance. It outperformed my bottle of Layton that I had, which I've just recently sold. But I would say the trade-off that you get with that extra performance is it doesn't smell as good as what Layton did. All right, so I would say the main areas where I noticed that are in the sort of immediate opening, and then also I would say in like the sort of far dry down. You can definitely tell that there's a slight sort of quality difference. It could either be quality difference, or I could just say that it's probably also the way that this particular fragrance is also blended. But either way, man, this smells at least 90% of the way to, what Layton smells like. So for $42.99 on Joma Shop, once it comes back into stock, I would say absolutely pick this one up. This is Dusk by the Woods collection. Next fragrance up is a really good interpretation of YSL's Baby Cat. This is going to be from Paris Corner, and this is Rifaaqat. And like I've mentioned before in previous videos, this is also not really 100% of the way to, what YSL's Baby Cat smells like. So if you're looking for something that is like a 100% like one-to-one type of clone, or, almost to that point, I would say you would want to look more so in the direction of Alexandria's Tomcat, because that one is definitely a lot more accurate. But I do like the little twist that they've put on this particular fragrance. In the opening, I get a sort of extra smokiness to this particular fragrance that Baby Cat doesn't have. Baby Cat definitely opens up a little bit fresher. And then in the dry down of this fragrance, I get like this really sweet, creamy sort of vanilla note that I would say the vanilla in this is absolutely amped up in the dry down when compared to Tomcat and YSL's Baby Cat. So those two aspects of this particular fragrance, I think, are two of the main things that attract me more to this one. Also, the price on this one is pretty good as well. I'm pretty sure on Aroma Concepts, this one goes for like around $40 or so. And I think that this is like a 80 or 90 ml bottle. 85 ml is what this one is. So, I mean, for that price difference, yeah, even though you don't get 100% of the way there to YSL Baby Cat, I still enjoy this one all the same. This one, again, is Paris Corner's Rifaaqat. So the next fragrance up, this is going to be, again, from the house of F.A. Paris Fragrance World. This is their take on Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And this is going to be Essence de Blanc. So Essence de Blanc, I know there's been some people who have gotten this fragrance and they've been sort of disappointed by it. What I can definitely say is when you first get this particular fragrance, it is going to be a little bit further off, I would say, from what Imagination is than what it will be once it starts to kind of sit and macerate. I've had this particular fragrance now for, I want to say, at least about maybe 2 months or so. And at this point, I mean, it pretty much, it's right there with Imagination. The main thing that I noticed with this fragrance is it holds on to like that sort of tart citrusy note that you get in the opening of Imagination. It holds on to that much longer than what Imagination does. But for the most part, in my opinion, it's right there with Imagination. Imagination obviously is going to smell better blended. It is going to smell slightly better. I do get, with Imagination, like I said, it doesn't hold on to that tartness as long. So it definitely kind of transitions into a slightly sort of sweeter scent as time goes by. But I would say once you get to like the far dry down of this particular fragrance, it almost smells identical to what Imagination does. All right. And that's going to be the longest part of this particular fragrance. So I'm happy with this one. Like I said, it gets better as it sort of ages and sits on the shelf. So again, this is going to be Essence de Blanc by F.A. Paris Fragrance World. Next fragrance up, this is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is going to be their take on Parfums de Marly's Latent Exclusive, and this is going to be Anaqeed. All right, so Anaqeed, I definitely am kind of going back and forth on whether or not I prefer the way that this scent profile smells or if I prefer the way that this scent profile smells, because they both smell absolutely amazing. But I don't know, man. I think it's something about that extra sort of woodiness that you get from the oud in this particular scent profile that just makes this one just slightly more sexier. I honestly, once I sprayed this on, I was like, wow, this really smells amazing. And it really does, man. It smells super high quality for the price that it goes for. I believe this goes for like around $50 or so on Oud Store. And I mean, it's right there, in my opinion, with, the quality of what you get from, the Parfums de Marly. So definitely, I would say check this one out, man. If you love Latent, I would say check this one out. You may actually like this one a little bit more than Latent. You do have to, be okay with sort of like a more woodier presence though within your fragrance. All right. So again, this is going to be Anaki by Fragrance World. Next fragrance up, this is going to be another Louis Vuitton clone, and this is going to be from Flavia. This is going to be Flavia's Limpression Parfum. All right. So I chose this particular fragrance over the Jean Low or John Low, however you pronounce it, Immortal. by Maison Alhambra. I chose this one because, again, in my opinion, the Jean Lo does not necessarily give you that much of like that sort of watery, balmy, sort of tea-like presence that you get from, you know, the original Louis Vuitton L'Immensité, which is what this one is cloning. It is slightly there in that particular fragrance, but in my opinion, the main thing that I would say that you get with that particular fragrance is you get a much more sort of spicier sort of emphasis on ginger in that fragrance, which definitely it makes it a lot more sort of beast mode in terms of, you know, how that fragrance projects. And that fragrance does last longer in my opinion, but I would say that this one definitely has more of sort of like that softer, sort of watery, balmy, like I said, presence that L'Immensité has. And I think that's what makes this one a little bit more accurate. All right. So again, this one is going to be Limpression Parfum, and that's by Flavia. So the next fragrance up, this is going to also be from Fragrance World. And this is going to be their take on Parfums de Marly Setley. This is going to be Posh Serious. All right, so Posh Serious, in my opinion, I mean, I guess unless you're like a Parfums de Marly sort of collector and, you know, you need to have all of those different Parfums de Marly bottles on your shelf, I don't necessarily see a reason that you would necessarily buy Parfums de Marly Setley over this particular fragrance, because quality wise, Parfums de Marly Setley doesn't smell better than this particular fragrance. It definitely doesn't perform better than this particular fragrance. And I mean, price wise, it's a lot more expensive than this fragrance. So with this one, man, you're going to get pretty much just a beast mode, sort of amplified version of Parfums de Marly Setley. And like I said, quality wise, I'm not going to sit here and say that there's really much of a difference at all. I'm not really picking up on any sort of quality difference. Maybe some other people may, you know, especially with their particular skin chemistry or, you know, their particular nose. But to my nose, this smells of the exact same quality that you get with Setley, but just with way better performance. This particular fragrance, I think you can pick this one up now on tripletraders.com for even lower than what I picked it up for initially. I think I picked this one up for like around 45 on Triple Traders. I believe now this is only going for like $29.99. So at that price, man, I would say this is unbeatable. If you like that particular scent profile for Parfums de Marly Setley. So absolutely check this one out, man. This is going to be Posh Serious by Fragrance World. All right, so the next fragrance up, this is also going to be from Fragrance World, and this is from their F.A. Paris Fragrance World line. This is going to be Divin Asylum. All right, so Divin Asylum, this is going to be their take on Roja's Elysium Parfum Cologne. And I definitely, as long as I own this particular fragrance, even though I absolutely love the way that the Elysium Parfum Cologne bottle looks, I love the way that all of those Parfum Cologne bottles look in that particular line. But when it comes to price, when compared to this particular fragrance, and, you know, when it comes to just overall sort of scent quality, this is really good. It doesn't necessarily get that sort of sparkly sort of opening that you get for probably the first couple of minutes of Elysium. It doesn't get that 100%, but I would say outside of that, it pretty much does everything that Elysium does. And I mean, at least for me, Elysium, I tend to go nose blind to that one, or, you know, at least it doesn't necessarily last that long on me. I can say that I get, you know, at least several hours more performance with this particular fragrance in terms of just overall longevity and being able to smell the fragrance. I'm able to smell this one for several hours later than I did with Elysium. So absolutely, man, I would say if you can find this one when it comes back into stock, definitely pick this particular fragrance up, because it's absolutely worth it. Especially when compared to the price that you're going to pay for an actual bottle of the Limpression Parfum cologne. All right, so again, this one is going to be Divin Asylum by F.A. Paris Fragrance World. Next fragrance up, this is going to be Hardwood by Fragrance World, and this is their take on Bath and Body Works Mahogany Woods. This fragrance, like I said, I haven't smelled the original Mahogany Wood, so I can't say whether or not this is like a 1-to-1 or a 95-90%. I'm not sure. And again, unless I can find a sample of that particular fragrance that's reasonably priced, I'm not gonna be comparing that particular fragrance to this one, because I'm not spending like $20 to $30 for like a 2 ml of that fragrance. But what I can definitely say is this fragrance is absolutely amazing. You get sort of like this woody, kind of ambery, sweet, really masculine type of scent profile from this particular fragrance. I think it's best suited for like the fall, winter, and like early spring. And again, this is absolutely an amazing fragrance, especially for the price point that you can get this one at. Pick this one up from fragrancebuy.ca for like $29. So at that price, I think that this is definitely worth it. Again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Hardwood. All right, and the last fragrance up, man, this is one of the fragrances that have definitely become, pretty popular. And at this point, I believe it is sold out pretty much everywhere that, it was being sold at. This is going to be Fragrance World's take on YSL's Tuxedo. And this is going to be Fragrance World Suits. So Suits, this is a amazing clone of YSL's Tuxedo. Like I've stated in previous videos, when you initially spray this on, it doesn't smell exactly like YSL's Tuxedo. In my opinion, it does smell slightly more synthetic. It has a sort of added sweetness to it that Tuxedo doesn't have. I would say the Tuxedo comes off as being a little bit less sweet and a little bit more spicier. I've seen some people that say that they don't really get any spice at all from this particular fragrance. I do get a little bit of spice from this one, at least off of my skin, but it doesn't, at least in the sort of opening, you don't get as much spice as what you get in Maison Alhambra's The Tux or in YSL's Tuxedo. But pretty much where this particular fragrance shines is, in my opinion, it shines in the mid and the dry down. And that's where this one, it basically becomes identical to YSL's Tuxedo, but it has stronger projection, in my opinion. And it does have much longer longevity than what Maison Alhambra's The Tux and Tuxedo has. So in my opinion, this is definitely the best YSL Tuxedo clone that you can find out there. Once this comes back into stock, I believe what this was selling for, at least when I picked it up, was like around $45, and this is for a 100 ml bottle. So if it comes back and you can find it at that price, definitely pick this one up if you love YSL's Tuxedo. And again, this is going to be Suits by Fragrance World. All right, so that's going to be the list. Definitely let me know what you think about this list. Have you all smelled all of the fragrances on this particular list? And if you have, what do you all think about these particular fragrances? So definitely let me know in the comments below. And once again, if you're brand new, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And once again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.